Okay, so we're talking about team culture. Let me see if, let's see. I'm going to share my screen if I can find where I want to share it. There it is. Okay. Okay. So this is what I was wondering, what this looked like to you guys. Okay, awesome. So we're talking about team culture. And this to me is, I put on here the number one secret to growing a large team. I could argue that this and duplication is. Now, duplication, we have drilled hard in the 14-day challenge over the last 2 days. But tonight, we're talking culture, like team culture, the number one secret to growing a large team with duplication. Like, I could argue both. Let me see what kind of thing this is in. Let's see. Okay, so keeping people by the fire. Now, I don't think this is any secret. Like, we know, you hear people say all the time, stay close to the fire, lean in. You know, that's how you stay excited, is getting close to the fire. So I don't feel like this is necessarily a secret. The magic sauce to help you make culture happen is, of course, keeping people close to the fire. It's going to lead you to exactly what you want to accomplish, which keeping people around the fire. It's going to help you create that culture. We're going to break this down a whole lot more. But whenever I say keeping people by the fire, I've had people ask me before, well, what is the fire? Whenever you say fire, what are you really talking about as far as keeping people close to it? Well, guys, this could be anything that excites them. It could be leaders. Now, there are certain leaders that pour gasoline on your fire. Like, whenever you listen to them, you're like, I'm going to the top. Like, you know what? I didn't think I could be very successful at this, but after listening to this leader, I'm going to the top. There's been leaders like that for me throughout all 10 years of my network marketing, being in network marketing. My first time I ever got on a call was with a teacher that had completely retired herself from teaching. And at the time I was a math teacher. So immediately I was just gravitated towards her. Now, if I was not told to get on that call, never would have heard her. So does your company have calls that they can get on and to hear other people's stories? And then are there certain leaders that just pour into your cup and you're like, man, yes, that's the fire. That's who I want to keep them close to. So certain leaders. Also events. I mean, gosh, I can almost pinpoint every single time that I just was on the most fire of my business was whenever I was leaving an event. Like, after I attended an event, fire. I was so outside my comfort zone because I was so on fire that I didn't care. I've talked to people about this before. I'm like, as soon as you want it more than you're scared of it, you'll have it. As soon as you want it more than, your fear, you'll have it. I was talking to Blake about my daughter about this other day. She's wanting to try out for the cheer team again in May, and she's wanting to throw a certain tumble pass. And this last week, it scared her to death. Well, she just had a mental block. So we were talking on the way home, and I said, well, do you want it? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, how bad do you want it? Y'all, it probably sucks being my daughter. Just side note, daughter and husband, you get this all the time. So anyways, we're on our way home, and I'm like, how bad do you want it? And she's like, I want it bad. And I'm like, what level do you want to be on? And I just kept having her tell me, and I was like, as soon as you want it more than you're scared of it, you'll throw the tumble pass, because she has it down. I wouldn't say that if she didn't have it. She has it. It's a mental block. Same thing for us. As soon as you want it more than you're scared of it, you'll have it. And events are such a good way because, to me, once again, you're hearing stories. You're hearing people that you can relate to. And it's just like, if they can do it, so can I. Duplication at its finest, right? You want people to think, if they can do it, so can I. So events are an amazing way, and honestly, just all the amazing things your company is doing. If it's events, if it's calls, if it's getting around certain leaders, if it's get-togethers, if it's whatever it is, all those amazing things that your company does, that's the fire that you want to keep people around. Now, here's the part that I think network marketing really does not have a good grasp on. We've heard keep people around the fire. We've heard, lean in, stay close to the fire. We've heard that probably since day one. We know, keeping our cups filled and staying excited is half the battle. We know that excitement is contagious. We know these things, but this is the part that I think a lot of network marketing companies do not understand, much less some of their team members that are on the team in the company. So they have 3 categories. Every single network marketing company has 3 categories. So you have this 80% over here. 80% of the company of the entire company is totally okay with making $0 to $500 monthly. People, like, these are people not making a dime, but so happy to be a part of it. And I know you may be sitting there and you're like, how could anybody be okay with making $0? Like, how? Guys, I'm telling you right now, these are the people that just want to be a part of it. Like, they want to be a part of what's going on. They want to be, you even know, like, when you go to an event and you leave there, like, you leave feeling excited and on fire and just feeling good. Whenever you hear certain people talk, like, you leave feeling good. You are part of a community. We talk so much about how people crave being a part of a community, being a part of something. You have 80% of your company, of your team, that falls into that category. Then you have 15% of people that, they want to make $2,000 to $3,000 monthly, around $25,000 a year. This is absolutely amazing to them. This is where I started. This is 100% where I didn't even start here. I started with wanting $367 a month. I needed to make a Honda Civic car payment. 2006, white Honda Civic. Such a cool looking car. I wish you could have seen it. I had to sell it. But anyways, I needed that to make that car payment, or I was about to lose my car, 367. So I started somewhere between the 80 and 15%. I also came into it thinking, I'm going to make my money so I don't lose my car and I'm going to get out, right? Okay, so that was my story. Let me pull up chat real quick. Where are you? Are you in the 80%, 15%? Now, let me say this. It's actually on a slide, but I feel like I need to say this. This is not how much you're making right now. This is how much you want to make, okay? So let me go over this last category, and then let me know. You have your 5%. These are the people that want to make $25,000 plus a month. These are the people that want to make $25,000 plus a month. So I started in the 80 and 15, but I got to the 5%. You want to know what most 5%ers' biggest problem is? Biggest problem? Because it was mine. I thought this was everyone's goal. I thought it was everyone's goal. I thought everybody that came in, like, why would you not want to make $25,000 plus a month? Like, why? So the most common request from a 5%er, which that was me, was I wanted everyone to match my efforts. I was like, why are you not, I'm sorry, but why did you not, why were you not on the Zoom tonight? Why were you, why did you not show up why did you not get 3 guests to the event? Why did you not send out 100 messages today? Why did you not go for no 10 times? Why did you not fill in a blank? And at the time, I was like, I'm being a good accountability partner. I'm being a good, coach and leader and, all those things, because I thought I'm pushing them. Because at the end of the day, it'd be cool if I had somebody like that, right? So yeah, Nicole, for real. That is where I was. And so I want you to look at these percentages, and I want you to take this in before we kind of go any further. Your team or your future team, this is how it's going to be. The entire company you're a part of, this is how it is. This is how it is. So these amounts, like I said, they're not necessarily what you make right now or what the person makes. It's what they desire. Here's something else about desire. You cannot force desire. You can't. Desire can be altered by the individual. And one of the ways to alter their desire is keeping them close to the fire. So you remember how I said that I started off as like an 80%er, somewhere in between 80 and 15%. I'm going to go over this again. I don't even know why I make slides, because I always go so far ahead. It's ridiculous. Yeah. See, Jordan, I'm okay with 80%, would love 5%. This is what I'm saying. Jordan, I'm going to move you to a 5%. No, see, that's my 5%er coming out. I'm going to move you to a 5%er, but you live and you learn. And I know that's just not the case. How you can alter them is keeping them close to the fire. Okay. So keeping them close to the events. Like I said, I started off as an 80 to 15%er. What moved me to the 5% was going to an event. It was going to an event. It was me seeing someone walk across stage, because here I am, 22 years old. I was, I think, in my second year of teaching at this point. My daughter, she had just turned 2. My husband, we were still kind of newlyweds. And so we go to this event, and there's people walking the stage, sharing their stories. And one person gets up there and they're like, I was able to retire myself. And I'm like, I'm a brand new teacher and I really like teaching. Like, that's my passion. That's what I went to college for. I was a math teacher. I loved it. That's cool for you. I'm good. I don't want to retire, just not the season that I'm in. Then another person walked on stage and they said I was able to retire my spouse. And Chad kind of looked at me side-eyed, and I'm like, dude, you just started, like, you're about to graduate. You're like, stop it. You do not need to retire. We're 22 and 25. Like, you need to have many seats. You're good. And then somebody walked on stage and they shared their story on how they were able to come home and not miss any more time with their baby. And that stopped me in my tracks. I missed Blakely's first steps. I did, because I came and picked her up from her babysitter and they said, you know, keep an eye on her. She's starting to take some steps. And I knew in that moment, like, she had taken her first steps and I missed it. And there was something about that that resonated with me. And then I saw someone else come on stage and they're like, I was a broke, you know, new teacher, newlywed, had a baby, and I just completely my story. And I thought, if she can do it, so can I. That's how you move someone from 80% to 5%. But anyways, like, let's keep going. We're getting to culture. Here's another part that I really need you to understand. People will remove themselves from the fire if they feel like they disappointed someone or do not measure up. I need that to be like a big aha moment tonight. This is why recognition is so big and celebrating all wins is so big. Because people will remove themselves from the fire if they feel like they don't measure up or they feel like they disappoint someone. So you can imagine me whenever I was in my 5% mode and thinking everybody needed to match my efforts and thinking everybody needed to be a 5%er, and then not understanding why everybody was quitting. You know, here I retired myself from teaching, by the way. So that story, right? Okay, come home, I'm a 5%er now. 3 months after that, 90 days after that, I retire myself from teaching. I'm a full-time mama. I retired Chad, full-time dad. We're a full-time family, living the life. And I expected everyone else to become a 5%er. Guess what happened 6 months later? Every single person on my team quit besides like 2 people, maybe 3. Every single person. So here I am, laying in my bed, October of 2012, I think, crying my eyes out. And I'm like, I think I'm going to have to go back to work because my entire team has quit. And the reason why that happened is because I made 80% of my team feel like they weren't measuring up, feel like they were disappointing me. Because here I was expecting them to match my efforts. And I really need that to ring home to you because, man, if I would have understood this back in 2012, I could have saved myself a lot of heartache. Now, I'll tell you, after that, I learned pretty quickly that, you know, I needed to change some things. And within 90 days, we had everything rolling. Everything was good again. Thank goodness. But this would have saved me a lot of heartache. So power of keeping people around the fire, here's the biggest thing. When they see someone else come in and they can relate to them, it pushes them to go from an 80% to a 15% or maybe even a 5%, just like it did me. Let me tell you this, churches and gyms understand this. This isn't just for network marketing. This is pretty much for any business. Let me explain to you why a church understands it. Because when people go to church, you have 80% of people that go to church and they're happy just to show up, put their money in the offering plate, get a good sermon, they leave feeling good, right? That's 80%. 15% come, they come, hear a good sermon, get poured into. Maybe they volunteer at Awanas, or they volunteer for Sunday school, or they volunteer their time somewhere. That's your 15%. Then you have your 5% that want to go and be a pastor or be a pure preacher. Can you imagine if that preacher every single Sunday pulled you aside and was like, hey, you know, you're coming to church, like you're showing up, you're hearing the sermon. Don't you want to, like, you know, be a preacher? I mean, you're here every week. Don't you want to see what all you can live up to, tap into that potential? Like, what do you think? And, you know, you're kind of like, I don't know. So you show up the next week and he stops you again. And he says, listen, I know you heard the sermon today. I talked about people that want to go into being a pastor. I don't understand why you didn't take one of the forms to fill out. How much longer are you going to go to that church? Right? It's not going to be long. It's the same thing with this. I'll tell you a way that gyms understand it. So gyms, they know 80% of the people is there to feel good. They know 80% of the people's there, puts in a good workout, maybe talks to some people that are there, and then they're out. Can you imagine if you went to the gym and somebody came up to you and was like, hey man, you need to start, you're only doing a mile on there. You really need to push yourself to be doing a 5K. You really need to pick up that speed. You need to pick up that incline. You need to lift those weights. You would stop going to the gym. It's the same thing with this. When people feel like they don't measure up, when people feel like they disappoint you, they're going to take themselves away from the fire. And that's why when you do a Zoom or an event or something like that, it's as simple as just saying, hey, even to our customers on here, I want you guys to know we love you so much. It's as simple as a simple statement like that. We want to keep the 80% around. This is 80% of your team. But here's a little side note. Even the 5%ers, the people making or wanting to make $25,000 plus a month, you ever wonder why leaders leave a company? You ever wonder why the people at the top walk away? Most of the time it's because they feel like they're not measuring up or they disappoint someone. And there we go. And I'll tell you this, whenever you get to the top of a company and you're like, man, I want to take a break, like just a couple weeks break. And you take the couple weeks break and then someone feels like that you disappointed them or that you don't measure up, you'll pull yourself away from the fire. 5%ers will even pull themselves away from the fire. So when we look at building this team culture, yes. Jordan said my husband would never retire, but he would do a side gig. He likes to stay busy. I thought the same thing about Chad. He loves retirement. Like he loves it. He is A-okay with being a full-time dad. Liz says, I would love to eventually get to 5% right now. I'm at 80, next goal for 15%. And that's the thing. Like, it's not what you're making right now. It's what you desire to be. So you cannot force desire. It's very important for you to understand that. But if you desire the 5%, Jacob said 5%, let's go. Yes. Candace said we need an event. Yeah, let's go. So it's what you desire. So if you desire the 25,000 plus a month, you're already a 5%er. But this is the message to you, to not expect your team coming on to all be 5%ers, to not expect your team coming on to match your efforts, because that's typically what a 5%er does. They're like, I don't understand why anybody would come on board and not want to be a millionaire. Like, I don't understand that. But there's people that do. There's a lot of people that's going to join you. 80% of your team is going to join, and they're going to be just fine with just being a part of your community. Just fine with making, a couple hundred a year. Just like, that's what's going to fill their cup. So if you recognize them, and last thing we're going to go over is really how to celebrate those wins and how to make sure that you're showing recognition, because that's keeping them close to the fire, celebrating those wins, making sure they never feel like they're not measuring up, or making sure they don't feel like they're disappointing you. That's how you move them from an 80% to a 15% to a 5%. That's how they come in and they're like, just a couple hundred would be cool. And then all of a sudden they want a couple thousand, and then all of a sudden they want 25,000. That's how you change their desire. You can't force it, but that's how they will alter it themselves. Yes, Robin, yes. Okay, so how can you recognize people's wins? Now, today in the 14-day challenge, we talked about how you fast start somebody, right? How whenever you bring somebody in, how you don't want them to watch 8 hours of videos. Y'all remember this talk? Okay, so biggest thing you can do whenever you bring someone in, you want them to have a win, some type of win as fast as humanly possible. The faster you can get them to have a win, the more they're going to stay around. Like, it's been proven, it's just how it is. Faster they can feel like they're not disappointing you, faster they can feel like, they're measuring up, they're doing good, they're going to stick around. So how can you do that? I have celebrated people before for getting me in a 3-way chat. I have celebrated people before for having a certain amount of conversations. We know conversations lead to conversions. So how many conversations are they having a day? I have celebrated someone before for messaging 10 people and sending me those screenshots. I have celebrated someone before for being consistent. I have celebrated someone before for expanding their network because they started the business with 50 friends. And when I was like, oh, we need to expand your network. And they expanded it to like 100 by the end of the week. Oh, you can bet they got a shout out for that. I have celebrated someone before for inviting 3 to an event, having 3 guests on an event. There is so many things that you can celebrate and recognize someone for other than promoting and other than enrolling. And the thing is, you want to know what leads to promoting? You want to know what leads to enrolling and signing people? The things that I just listed. So if you can start celebrating people that are doing that, if you can start recognizing people that are doing that, not only are you going to make sure that they don't feel like they're disappointing you, that they're not measuring up, you're going to get them close to the fire. And before you know it, they are going to hear a story, or they are going to see someone like them walk in. Think about the gym. So this person go into the gym every single week, and they just like, you watch them and they don't even exercise. Like they don't even get on anything. They're there when you show up and they are there when you leave, but you never see them work out. They're just constantly going around to people and talking to them. It's like they're best friends with everybody in the gym, right? And then somebody comes in that looks like them, acts like them, talks to everyone in the gym as well, but they work out. That person is going to be inspired to start working out, to start doing work, and the same thing will happen on your team. This is the culture that you want to provide, where you recognize wins, where you celebrate them, and where you are making sure that nobody's feeling like a disappointment or they're not measuring up. Where you as a 5 or 15%er, you understand to change their desire, to alter their desire. It cannot be forced, but creating the right culture can definitely, and keeping them by the fire can definitely help alter that. So guys, I hope this was a help to you. I love you all so much. And momentum makers and 14-day challengers, I will see you guys tomorrow morning as we dig deep into this week's topics. But tonight was culture. This is going to be put up on YouTube so that way you can come back and watch the replay.